For the past year or so, my friend Ren and I have been revamping our old OCs we made back when we were kids. This is Lonnie, my OC, and Gray, Ren's OC. I won't explain too much of their lore though, I'll save that for another time. But Ren and I decided to redesign them back in 2023, but all throughout this past year of 2024, we've been working hard on fleshing out all of our main characters, brainstorming plot ideas, and so on and so forth. More recently, we started focusing on the setting of the story, which takes place in one big and dense city with a whole bunch of political corruption and wealth disparity. You know, all that fun stuff. I've been really excited by our discussions of aesthetics and building styles, and while we did make a Pinterest board to help us visualize our ideas, I've been really itching to actually draw our ideas out. Except there's just one minor, itty-bitty, tiny little problem. I, a character artist, am terrified of drawing backgrounds. I was like, what am I gonna do? I have not been on my background A game for literally the entirety of last year. The only backgrounds that I've been drawing are like, ooh, put some colors here, scribble some shapes there. Oh, what's this? Gaussian blur? I have been slacking, to say the least, running away from my responsibilities. However, while I was sitting by my lonesome, deliberating my dilemma, suddenly a savior arrived at my doorstep. This is the Intangbo SW drawing tablet that was so kindly sent to me from Parblo. I was super excited to try this out once I got it because I have used a drawing tablet before, but not in years, and it was only ever a few times, so I didn't remember how much I liked using them. So when I got this one, I got a little ahead of myself. The intangbo SW has both wire and wireless connection and is compatible with Windows, Android, and Mac. Out of all of those options, I only have a MacBook, so I saw that the tablet works with Mac and was like, oh yeah, perfect, I have one of those. But what I completely overlooked is that I don't have any drawing software on my MacBook. Problem number one. So I started scouring the internet, trying to find a drawing program I could use that's free and works with the tablet, to which I discovered that nothing is free. I wasn't surprised by that, but you know, I was hoping. I didn't want to spend money on a software if I didn't even know if I was gonna like the device I was using, you know what I mean? I'm generally not a big spender. That's something I have to commit to. So, my solution: Photoshop's 7-day free trial. 1 whole week. That's plenty of time to draw something for a video. But problem number 2, what the heck do I even draw? The tablet was delivered to me so fast that I didn't even get the chance to think about what video I'm gonna make using it. And then I came up with my genius final solution. Circling back to what I said at the beginning of this unnecessarily long intro, I need to practice drawing backgrounds and world build for my OC's story. So, in this video, I am going to be drawing one background for every day of 1 week so I can practice drawing backgrounds, try using the Intangbo SW drawing tablet, and use Photoshop during its 7-day free trial. P.S. I'll talk more about my experience using the tablet towards the end of this video, so stick around if you'd like to check that out. You know, this sounds like a lot to be doing at once in one video, one may be thinking. I know. And I wish somebody had been there to tell me that before I got in too deep, but you know what they say, hindsight is 20/20. I'll save the brunt of my self-complaints until later on when they're more relevant. For now, I'll just explain my game plan. Like I said, 1 background per day for a total of 7 days. On days 1 and 7, I will be drawing from my imagination, using a collection of references so that I can compare those 2 drawings at the end. On days 2 to 6, I will be drawing directly from references to practice. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I was actually pretty excited to start on day 1, but I learned quite quickly that my confidence, way too much. Because I only ever use an iPad to draw digitally, I'm very used to touching the screen that I'm drawing on. The thing about the Intangbo drawing tablet is that it's a tablet you connect to a different monitor, so my lack of hand-eye coordination was really making it a lot harder for me. I couldn't draw any straight lines, so I didn't even attempt line art. I just sketched out the background and painted over it. As for the background itself, this is the city that Lonnie and Gray live in. The city, which has no name yet, is made up of 3 main parts. The older, European-style buildings in the center, the modern skyscrapers kind of in a ring surrounding the older buildings, and then a poorer, run-down area somewhere among all that. The city has a rampant wealth disparity problem that is reflected by each part. The higher class people live in the modern and European style areas, while the lower class people are pushed into the dirty areas that are barely taken care of, if at all. I wanted to portray each of those distinct sections in this drawing, with the poor area in the foreground, the European style area in the middle, and the modern buildings along the horizon line. I think you can tell that's what I was going for, but only if I actually explain all of that. Obviously, I understand what's in the drawing because I'm the one who drew it, but the thing I was having the most trouble with was clarity, making it legible to people who are not me. I think I separated the foreground from everything else pretty well, but the rest is kind of this jumbled mess of scribbly lines that makes it hard to tell where the European buildings end and where the modern buildings start. I wasn't really sure how to fix it after a certain point, given how disorganized my layers were, so I was a little disappointed with this drawing, but hey, at least I drew the background, right? I wouldn't be able to find a specific thing about backgrounds that I need to improve if I don't even draw the backgrounds in the first place. The only way to get better is to practice, and that's all I was really trying to do, even if I wasn't totally satisfied by the results. Although I was starting to feel a little discouraged, it had only been one day, so it was way too early to lose all hope. The one goal I set for myself on day 2's illustration was clarity. I painted again, still avoiding line art, but the only thing I was trying to achieve was to just be way neater than I was the day before. It was definitely a lot easier to do that with the reference photo I picked, which is just a head-on angle of a couple buildings rather than a whole cluster of buildings. Cityscapes are probably the hardest types of backgrounds to draw, at least in my own experience, because you have to think about perspective and all these tiny details and other things like how do you make the buildings look like they're separate from each other? How can you emphasize that the faraway buildings are far away besides using perspective alone? But I decided to stick with drawing images of cities and buildings not only for my OC's story, but also to force myself to work with perspective. Because if I practice drawing cities a lot, then I can translate what I learned about perspective into other types of backgrounds. At least, that was my initial idea before starting this video, but admittedly, I ended up forgetting about that. Starting day 2, I might have gotten so tunnel visioned on clarity that I did not think about the whole perspective, horizon line, vanishing point stuff at all. In my defense, perspective wasn't even the main issue for me in the first place, okay? Like, I've been drawing for a long time. I understand perspective for the most part. Besides, when you're trying to improve your art, it's better to focus on one thing at a time so that you don't overload your brain with new information. I mean, learning is different for everybody, but I personally find it very overwhelming to try to focus on too many things at once, which was the entire problem I was having with backgrounds to begin with. Backgrounds can have a lot of details, and it stresses me out. I can hone my perspective skills another time. This week, I chose to practice being not sloppy. Anyway, this drawing is of another rundown area. It's still not the best, but I do think I succeeded in making it significantly neater than day 1. Choosing a decently simple reference photo definitely took a lot of weight off of my shoulders. I'm just gonna say right off the bat that day 3 is a flop. And I don't have anything interesting to say about the drawing itself other than I tried line art for the first time for this week and it went about as horribly as I expected it to, and worse. Not surprisingly, I couldn't draw straight lines. That's just a matter of my hand-eye coordination, or lack thereof, and me still not getting the hang of using the drawing tablet. And by straight lines, I mean like straight lines that are drawn without the help of a ruler or anything of the sort. In Photoshop, you can draw straight horizontal and vertical lines by holding Shift, and there's probably a way to draw straight lines in other angles, but I didn't try to look for it because I didn't want to rely too much on the software. I wanted to improve my line confidence by myself, by hand. But it wasn't looking too hot for the first attempt, which was really all to be expected. But what made day 3 so much worse for me was that Photoshop was lagging so much. It was lagging so much more than it was the previous 2 days, and it was really getting on my nerves. I kept working through it because I assumed it was Photoshop that was the problem. Like, I don't know, maybe Photoshop is too hefty of a software for my stupid baby laptop, but I found out it was actually my laptop that was the problem. Because after I gave up on this drawing, because of how fed up I was, I shut off my laptop, and when I turned it on again to draw the next background the next day, it was working fine. I probably should have just done that in the first place, but I didn't, and that's okay. Regardless, I still flopped. The combination of me being annoyed by the process and all of these technical difficulties and the drawing not turning out well made me quite upset, and I started getting in my own head about it. I was like, why do I suck? My art sucks, and then that means this video is going to suck, and then Parblo is gonna be so disappointed in me for making the video suck when I'm supposed to be reviewing their product as well. And then I paused for a moment, reconsidered some of my life choices, thought to myself, dog, who the hell are you trying to please? Parblo? The company? Your viewers? Did you not start this little challenge of yours to simply practice drawing backgrounds for your own sake? Right. God. So basically, I had a whole existential crisis for a solid 2 hours before smacking some sense into myself. I feel a little ridiculous. But, you know, art is hard, art is stressful, what can I say? I didn't talk about the drawing at all, but I used another reference photo of what I imagined the poorer area of the city would look like. I'm not entirely sure what this room is exactly, but I just liked how dirty and grimy it looks. Except, I forgot to draw all the trash on the floor and couldn't be bothered to fix it. Day 4 was kind of like a day of reflection for me. First and foremost, I chose another reference of a dirtier, run-down area, but this time with some of those fancier buildings in the back. I tried doing line art again, still with much difficulty, and still with the help of my handy-dandy shift key, but I was feeling a lot better about drawing in general. The goal I set for day 4 was to just relax and enjoy myself, which I hadn't been doing much of thus far. However, I did realize a lot of things about myself and my journey up until this point. For starters, I noticed that I hadn't felt this stressed about art in so long, and I realized that that was because I've been too comfortable. I haven't really been trying to practice drawing specific things and have been staying in my comfort zone for the past year or so. Granted, I don't always have the time to dedicate a full week to studying something art related, but it just felt like I hadn't been pushing myself at all. And I think because of that, I was getting a little cocky, at least subconsciously. Like, ooh yeah, look at me. I'm so good at art. I'm so good at everything. And then I drew one background and crashed out. So despite the intensity of the self-inflicted stress I had experienced throughout the course of half a week, I was, in the grand scheme of things, happy to see myself really break out of my comfort zone for the first time in a while. And there was another funny little thing that I noticed. My initial fear of drawing backgrounds was because I found them to be too complicated and overwhelming. The entire reason I sought out to do this challenge was to get over that fear, and to make myself draw backgrounds without worrying so much about whether they'll turn out good or not. I ended up kind of forgetting about that for a bit because I was so worried that this video was gonna turn out bad. But I think what happened instead is that because I got so worked up about my art being bad and this video potentially being bad as well, I ended up completely sidelining my fear of drawing backgrounds and legitimately got over it because I had forgotten about it. I started off being scared of drawing backgrounds and then just fixed the problem because I made myself so stressed about an entirely different thing. So, tip of the day, how do you get better at practicing drawing something despite how daunting it may seem at first? Just do the absolute most, I guess. If it's not clear already, do not do that. Do not stress yourself out for no reason. I don't recommend it. Anyway, this drawing turned out okay. I like it better than the last one, so a win is a win, I guess. So, I didn't draw anything for days 5 and 6. I know I said that I'd be doing this for a week. I mean, I did it throughout 1 week. I just didn't draw every day. On day 5, I took a break for the sake of my own sanity because I was driving myself crazy. On day 6, I went outside and did things outside for an extended period of time. And when I came home, I was way too tired to do anything that required any brain power. So instead of drawing, I just played Minecraft. I was actually planning on drawing the different parts of the city that Lonnie and Gray live in. So like, for days 2 to 4, I drew the rundown part, and then I would draw the modern part, and then I would draw the older traditional style part. But I got nothing. Let's move on to day 7, yeah! After my 2-day break, I felt refreshed. I went into this drawing with 0 expectations. I drew from my own mind, using a few references, and guess what? I did all the line art by myself without using the shift key. Ha ha ha. This drawing still didn't turn out perfect, but I think there is a clear difference in quality between this one and the first one I did, which I was very happy about. I got better at drawing backgrounds. My goal was achieved. So, what can you learn about drawing backgrounds from this video? Nothing. Nothing at all. Sorry if anyone clicked on this video expecting some sort of tutorial and got like 30 minutes of me ripping my hair out and shaving 10 years off of my own lifespan instead. Honestly, I didn't really want to make this video because I felt a little embarrassed. But I actually learned a very valuable lesson that I wanted to share. I went into this challenge way too confident and was humbled at alarming rates. I felt like a disappointment. I started questioning my entire existence as a human being. I remembered that art is hard, man, especially since I'm trying to improve, trying to break out of my comfort zone for the first time in what seems like forever. This crap was hard, and I sucked. But that's okay. Being bad at something isn't intrinsically a bad thing in and of itself. That just means I have room for improvement, and with enough time and patience, I got there in the end. Or at least, I'm starting to get there. Improvement isn't some linear pathway. You'll get better at drawing one thing, and then all of a sudden it seems like you're getting worse, and then all of a sudden you're getting better again. But that's just kind of how it works. I wanted to document and share my semi-raw, semi-unfiltered feelings about my experience trying to practice drawing backgrounds because I'm sure that this is something that most, if not all, artists go through. And I don't think we should shy away from talking about that. I don't typically like being outwardly negative about my own art because I don't want others to see me as this like super self-deprecating person. And I'm not trying to be self-deprecating in this video. I just wanted to show that I struggle. You struggle. We all struggle. And there's nothing wrong with that. We will always be our own worst critics. And I don't think that there's any way of completely stopping that way of treating ourselves. So rather than telling you to just stop being hard on yourself, I'd like to say instead to believe in yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be proud of yourself for trying. You might be feeling bad about your art at some point, but at least you picked up your pencil, right? And blah 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 more sappy shit. Anyway, now it's time to review the Intangbo SW's tablet. This video is so disorganized, can you tell? Anyway, here's some footage of me testing out the tablet and playing around with the driver that you can install to adjust the settings. Overall, the tablet was great. I had no technical problems at all. It was a little tricky to get the hang of, like I kept pressing the wrong buttons on accident, but I think that's just a given when using a new device. I was super impressed by how customizable the tablet is though. By default, the hotkeys include zoom in, zoom out, eyedropper, hand tool, undo, and save buttons, all of which can be changed to something else if you so please. The circle button cycles through scroll, zoom, brush size, and more that you can add on. And then you just use the wheel to zoom in and out, scroll up and down, make the brush size bigger or smaller, and so on. You can also make custom hotkeys, though I didn't test that out. The hotkeys are definitely a lot more efficient to use compared to me moving my hand around more on my iPad to tap the screen. It's just the one significant problem I ran into was that because the hotkeys are on the left and all I'm doing with my right hand, or my drawing hand, is holding the pen and nothing else, I'd end up gripping the pen for about 2 hours straight without moving the position my hand was in, and then afterward my hand would feel a little stiff. But that's honestly just a result of me focusing too hard on drawing and not taking frequent breaks. Although, this is not something I normally experience when drawing on my iPad, so I just thought I'd mention it. Another thing I noticed is that you can adjust the work area on the tablet, so if you're left-handed, for example, you can rotate the work area 180 degrees and then turn the tablet so that the buttons are on the right side instead of the left side. The only thing I changed on the settings was that I made the pressure sensitivity softer so that I didn't have to press the pen that hard on the tablet. Other than that, I just left the settings on the default, but even though I personally didn't have to change that much, I really liked how much you could change. I also liked that because the tablet is connected to another monitor, it's very ergonomic. With my iPad, I have to look down the whole time when I'm using it, which can be a little tiring for my neck and bad for my posture. But when I'm using this tablet, the screen of my laptop is higher up so I can keep my head looking straight forward. But again, overall, I really liked using the tablet. It's light and portable, very customizable, and comes in the cutest color I ever did see. And if you are interested in getting an intangbo SW drawing tablet yourself, you can use the code ZEQFDZGB for 15% off until January 31st, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you so much again to Parblo for sending me a tablet to try out. I'm really sorry for this video being such a mess. I didn't really know how to organize everything, so I'm sorry if there's too much going on, because I don't really know what's going on. What a way to start out the new year, am I right? I just wanted to say thank you for 6,000 subscribers. That is more than I ever thought I could ever get to, and I am super grateful for all of the support. I don't have anything special planned because I've been quite busy. Maybe we can wait until 10K for a celebration. A wink wink. But we're starting 2025 off strong, and I hope to make many more fun videos throughout the rest of the year. Happy New Year! Thank you for the 6,000 of you who have decided to stick around. Thank you Parblo for the tablet. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.